Welcome to the next section of the course. We will start this section from an assignment. You can see the end project on your screen right now. This is what I want you to do. We have a navigation right here, which looks exactly like this. And below our nav tag, we have a section just to visualize how our project can look in the future. So this is how our project is going to look like. This is how it should behave. When we decrease our window, our navigation looks like this. And when we increase it, our navigation stays at the center of our website. Notice that the height of our section also increases or decreases depending on the screen size. So on our browser window size. What I want you to do in this assignment is to create a navigation, as you can see in my HTML, with the use of the UL tag and the li tag inside it. What I want you to create is this simple HTML tag. It's a simple structure. What you also should do is to create a style CSS file, import it with the link tag in the head of your HTML file, and in our body tag, create a nav tag with the UL tag inside with 4 li tags, so the list items, and in each of the list item, create an a tag with the href of hash with the text inside. This shouldn't take you too much time. Of course, you should create a CSS style file, import it, open it, and place your styles inside this file. Your starting project will look exactly like this, and I want you to make it to look exactly like this. So now I'm going to show you the guidelines of this assignment. Here you have the guidelines of this assignment. There should not be too rough for you at this point. So please pause the video now. Try to do this assignment by your own. And if you get stuck somewhere and can't figure it out how it's supposed to be done, I'll be back in no time showing you my way of doing this assignment. So please pause the video now, and I'll be back in a moment. I hope you managed to do this assignment by your own, or at least you took up the challenge. But if you were stuck somewhere, don't worry, because I'll be showing you my way of solving this assignment. And this is also a good way of learning, because if you can't do something and then you see how someone else is doing it, your mind is going to remember that easily. So let's take a look at this assignment and let's try to do it. Let's go to our guidelines. First thing we have is to remember about the initial reset. So let's go to our style CSS file, the asterisk symbol, margin 0, padding 0. Let's take a look. We can see it works. Let's take a look what's next is supposed to be done. Let's style our section. Let's set the height to 30% of the width of the browser window. So let's do it. Let's refer to our section. Height and 30, not percent, because that would be a mistake. And also not the viewport height. That's also not how it's supposed to be done in this assignment, because we can see in the guidelines that we want to refer to 30% of the width of the browser window. So it's supposed to be 30 viewport width. There's no problem to set the viewport width unit as a height or viewport height unit as a width. So you may remember it, because that is not a mistake. Let's save our file. Let's see what else is supposed to be done in the section. We should set the background color to RGB with these values. So let's copy this and let's place it in our CSS style like this. What we have to do is to delete the space, and our color should be set. You can see the effect on your screen right now. And since we have our height relative to the viewport width, this is the effect that we will get, that if we decrease the width of our browser window, we also decrease the height of our section. And when we increase it, the height of our section increases as well. Let's take a look what else is supposed to be done. We have our section ready. Let's take a look at the nav tag. Set the background color to 666. So let's do it. Let's refer to our navigation above the section, how it is placed in our HTML code, like this. And let's set its background color to 666 in a hex number. Let's see if it works. And you can see it works pretty fine. Let's take a look what else we have to do. The top and the bottom border to 4 pixels solid black. So I will copy this as well. Go to my style CSS and let's make it happen. Border top and paste the value, as well as border bottom. Let's see the effect, and voila, we can see the effect on our screen as it is. Let's go back to index.html. Now we have the nav UL tag. Remove dots from list items. That is the most important thing we need to do with our list. Let's refer to our nav UL. And to see the effect, let's just comment for now this CSS rule. We can see those dots are visible. We should always get rid of them because they may cause some problems. So what we need to do is to use the list style property with the value of none. And we can see that now those dots disappeared. We can uncomment our CSS rule for our style reset, and everything is how it's supposed to be. Let's see what else. Set the top and bottom padding to 30 pixels and left padding to 60 pixels. All right, so let's do this. Padding bottom to 30 pixels. We can see the effect on our screen as it is. Let's make our properties with the proper order to keep our code clean. Let's cut it from here, paste it in here. It's good to keep our good habits writing the code, even in a small projects like this. Border top, border bottom, background color. Now our nav UL. Let's cut this padding from here, paste it right here. Let's place also our padding top, also for 30 pixels, and padding left to 60 pixels, just to keep it from the left edge of the browser window. Let's see what else is to be done. Also use the max width property to limit the area of the buttons to 1024 pixels. Let's do it. Let's set its max width 1024 pixels. We won't see a difference at this point, but let's set a temporary background color to our UL. For example, this Alice blue. We can see it right now, but when we expand our browser window, we can see that this is our UL tag with this light color, and the dark gray color is our nav tag. So our UL's width is set to max to 1024 pixels. Beyond it, it stays at this width. Now probably what we want to do is to center it in the middle of our website with the margin property. But let's see if this is what the guidelines are talking about. Although the bar created by nav is still to be wide on the entire page. So this is what we did. Our nav bar is visible on the entire page. We just limited our UL tag. This is how it looks, and this is how it should be done. The next thing we want to do is to center the UL using the auto value in the margin property. This is something that we did many times before. So let's use the margin property. And we want it to be 0 because we don't want any margin from the top and the bottom since we have this padding. And auto since we want it to be centered on our website. Let's see if it works how it should, and it works perfectly fine. So this is the area of our navigation, our whole nav, which is wide on the whole website's width, and inside it we have centered our UL tag, which now has this temporary color, but let's get rid of it. And this is how it should look at this point of our project. Now let's see what else is to be done. Let's go to the nav li tags. Place li elements next to each other, but so that they can be freely styled. By default, they have the value of display block, so they are placed under each other, as how we see in our project. So let's refer to them nav li, and all we want to do is to place the display property with the value of inline block. So we can place our inline block li elements next to each other, but now we can style them freely as we already know. Let's take a look on our guidelines once again. All we have to style right now is the nav A. So our buttons, the first thing we need to do is to set the right margin to 30 pixels so that the buttons are separated from each other. Right margin to 30 pixels. Let's do this. Nav A, margin right, 30 pixels. We can see that our buttons now are separated from each other, and this is exactly what we wanted. Let's go back. Remember that A is a linear element. Now that's supposed to be inline element. So sorry for using a wrong word. So remember that the A is an inline element and inline element. So make it blocky so you can style it freely. So let's do it. What we want to set is the display property once again with the value of block. We see no difference right now, but setting this property to the block value will help us to style those elements. We don't need to place inline block right here because as we can see in our HTML file, the list items are set next to each other. So the li elements should be inline block because in each list item we only have one item, which is the A tag, so it has no brothers and sisters inside its parent, so it can be just block. That's what we did. And let's see what else we have to do. Change the font color to white. That's what we are going to do. Color white. Now we can see the text in our buttons with this color. Previously it wasn't so visible. Set the font size to 18 pixels. So let's do it. (18 pixels). We can see it increased. What's next? Set font family to Arial. That shouldn't be a problem as well. We can see the difference as well. Get rid of underlining. Let's do it as well. Text decoration, none. We can see it that our buttons are not underlined anymore. Let's take a look at our guidelines once again. Set the padding to 10 pixels in each direction. That shouldn't be a problem for us as well. Let's place the padding property right here. Just the padding. And we want to set it to 10 pixels like this. We can see that our nav bar looks more and more readable and better. And that's the point. Let's take a look on our guidelines once again. Each button should be 180 pixels wide and the text in it should be centered. Remember to change the box sizing property so the padding won't expand our buttons and they could still be 180 pixels wide. Alright, so let's do this. Let's set its width to 180 pixels like this. Now we can see that something is wrong with our project, but that's the issue of the box sizing. But first, let's center our text with the text align property with the value of center, so that now the text in our buttons is centered. Let me place a temporary background color for it, just so you can see it better. Right there. If we haven't placed the text align property, the text in our buttons would start from the left side of it. And now we can see that our buttons don't match our website. They do not fit in one line. And that's because we should set the box sizing property from content box, which is set by default, to border box, so that this padding 10 pixels won't expand this 180 pixels of their width from the left and the right side, but it will take the space from the content box. Let's see if it works. Now we can see that our buttons fit perfectly in one line on our website. Now let's uncomment this text align property like this. You can see that this is our button and this is text inside it. So let's get rid of this temporary color. And our navigation on this point looks like this. Now let's go to the guidelines once again, like this. The buttons should have a border of 1 pixel solid white. So let's copy this value. Let's place the border after the padding. Like this. Let's paste this value which we copied from the guidelines. And we can see that our buttons looks exactly like in our final project. I think the last thing we need to do is to place the hover effect. When you hover over a button, its font color and border color will change to chartreuse. Sorry for wrong pronunciation if it's wrong, but I think it's more or less chartreuse. But anyway, let's make this hover effect to our buttons. Let's refer to it as nav a hover, which we already should know at this point. And what we want to change is color for chartreuse and the border color also to this color. Let's see if it works. and you can see it works perfectly fine. So we've managed to do this assignment. Let's take a look on how it looks and how it behaves like this. If we make our window smaller, we'll get our buttons like this. When we expand it, they are set to be in the middle of our website. And as we can see, our section gets bigger or smaller, depending also on the size screen of the width of the browser window. And this is exactly what we wanted to do. Now, since we create the nav tag with the use of the UL tag, and we have the list items and the A items inside it, it's important for you to know that only the A tag, the A item, is the clickable area. This is the area that actually have the link inside it. When we cut these properties, margin, border, and padding, and paste it to the li tag like this, and if we save our file, we barely see a difference. But if you take a look, now only the clickable area is this text, because all the additional area is the list item, which is not clickable, and inside we have this small A tag, which is the actual link. So we have to keep in mind that using the nav tag with the UL tag and li tags inside it, all the button should be styled as a A tag, so that the whole button, as you can see at this point, may be clickable. So the whole button area should be our A tag. So that would be all for this assignment, and let's go to the further topics that we will discuss in this section.